guys, welcome to Sopi Mix Studio Umbiamas, conectando Aruba com o mundo via vídeo podcasting. Conectar conosco, compartilhar ideias e histórias para nos inspirar e para nos abrir. Sopi Mix Studio é plataforma de podcast na Aruba. Follow-nos no Facebook, subscribe no YouTube ou na plataforma de podcast preferida. Escute o podcast preferido que hora e onde está. Sopi Mix Studio, powered by Credits, botou ideia? Credits educa e prepara a abo para ser um empresário exitoso. De business plan, guia personal e préstamo para negócio até com 100 mil florim. Bira bom mês donho com Credits. Sopway, passa na Sopway para o sop, salada, wrap ou flatbread e mais fresco. Com 7 localidades rond Aruba, nós está cerca de Ibo. Sopway. Swingmasterz, organizando events, conferences of weddings, mister de luz, sound, staging, DJ, trussing of flat screen, Swingmasterz está claro para ser boa fiesta éxito. Swingmasterz. E agora, Sopi Mix Studio é plataforma de podcast de Aruba está apresentar.
Sincerely Carolina is powered by Lindy Boutique, Proframe, The Shelf, CeraVe, and Crest. Hi, happy Monday, happy new week. This is Sincerely Carolina. My name is Carolina and I will be your host for this podcast. Hi, I hope you had a nice long weekend for those of you that had a long weekend. For those of you that had like a couple of extra off days in between, I hope it was nice. You did something fun or just relaxed. I mean, sometimes that's like the best thing ever. So yeah. We are going to talk about career moms and co-parenting in a little bit with two awesome ladies. But before we continue, I just want to say thank you very, very much to Sopi Mix Studio for making these conversations possible. And of course, to my awesome sponsors, we have Lindy Boutique, Proframe, The Shelf, CeraVe, and Crest. Yes, for beautiful smiles. Anyways, so surprise, surprise, we have actually one of our sponsors in house today because she is a career mom, serial mompreneur. I think that's the word that we use for her. So without further ado, I'm going to let them introduce themselves. Hi, ladies. How are you?
Hi, how are you? My name is Lindy. I'm, like you said, a mom, a serial mompreneur.
Yes.
I like to use these words combined because it tells you exactly what I am and what I do. I own a boutique in Aruba, and I love business, so I'm constantly thinking of what new endeavor I can go on, so
Yes.
that's why the word serial. And and I'm a full-time mom as well, so that's about it.
Okay, so we'll get in a little bit into all those things and all the different things you do besides obviously managing your boutique, but we'll get into it in a little bit. But Nicole, so you're also a known person in Aruba, especially if you are involved with the University of Aruba. So you're an educator, social worker. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Good morning. Thank you for the invitation. It's nice to meet you, both of you. We've never had a proper conversation, the two of us. So
Right?
It's nice to get to know each other.
Yes.
Yes, so I'm Nicole Hart. I am currently actually starting my own business.
Ooh.
I was talking to Lindy about it outside, looking at social work in the corporate world. And I'm also, of course, a social worker educator. I've been teaching at the university for the past 8 years. And besides that, I'm also a mother of 3 kids and 2 stepsons, so I have 5. And yeah, that's a little bit about me in regards to my career and my motherhood, my daily life.
Your daily life, yes. All right, so why are we talking about this topic, right? I mean, I think that it's important to give a little context. I mean, what are career moms? What is a career mom to you, Nicole? Like, if you think of the word career mom, what does that mean to you?
I think being a career mom is trying to constantly being able to balance your mental health, but also, but I think it also is being very critical in quality instead of quantity as a mother, because time is limited when you're a career mom. And so you're very creative, constantly creative in thinking ways how you can, still create this bond with your child, and at the same time also making your own dreams come true. Because for me, being a career mom is also showing your children that you matter as an individual, as a mother. Sometimes, of course, I hear the comments, "Oh, mom, you're going back to work again," or "Oh, you come all the way at 5 or 6." Always getting these comments because they've been used to me always being home when they were younger.
Oh, okay.
But being a career mom, I think, is a lot about balance and a lot about patience. I think that's very important. Do you agree, Lindy?
Yes, I do agree, but I do want to add some things. The word career mom is fairly new to me. I mean, I've been a mom for 5 years. We also have a blended family. But to me, as like, what do you mean with career mom? Like the 9 to 5 or a entrepreneur mom?
Well, I think it's a little bit of
both, right?
Both, yes. It's when you...
But aren't we then everyone except the ones that are full-time mom? Because that's also a career to be a mom.
Exactly. I think that the term really relates to choosing to stay within a job or working, for financial purposes, but also for career purposes. So continuously advancing in that, and not, leaving that at the moment that you become a mother. So it is a new term indeed, or, relatively new term, because the idea that moms can have it both ways is relatively new as well. For a very long time, moms kind of had to, if they were working as women before becoming a mother, the tendency was that as soon as they get married or become a mom, they stay at home. So choosing to be both, as in keeping a career, your job, or in your case, an entrepreneur, for example, but also, obviously being a mom is choosing to have both. Like, I guess eat your cake and have it too.
Well, I mean, when I started the boutique, I sacrificed a lot about being a mom, a family, friends, you name it, just to be at the boutique. But when I'm not at the boutique, I'm with my child, so I'm sacrificing the boutique. So I don't really believe in balance, and I don't think there is any balance, because when you're doing something for, like, if I'm working till 7, or it used to be till 11, or things like that, I'm not giving the time to my daughter. Mm-hmm. And when I'm with my daughter, I'm not giving the time to my store. So I personally don't believe in balance when it comes to working, because a child is a full-time job. You really need to invest a lot into what becomes tomorrow. I mean, you want the best for your children. And I don't believe, like, in the society that we are now, especially after COVID, that there can be any balance, because it's really, really hard.
And I guess that's what Nicole was saying. It is hard. And obviously we only have, 24 hours in a day. And of course, those 24 hours in a day look different for everyone, especially, considering the resources you have, etc. But like you said, every hour extra you spend with your child is an hour less from your business, and the other way around. So how do you deal with that feeling that you don't feel there is a balance? Or do you think that comes from you inside, but maybe is it also pressure from others? What makes you feel that you can't maybe find a happy medium?
I mean, I didn't say you can't find a happy medium. I'm just saying the word balance does not exist, because it can't. Because if you're with A, you can't be with B, and with B, if you're with B, you can't be with A. It's just facts. Mm-hmm. But the happy medium, you have to create it yourself. And I believe that's what, in general, it's called balance, If you're okay with it, but it's your own choice.
It is, for sure.
Working till late was my own choice. Mm-hmm. Then I just told Nicole, now I have decided that I work half days. I have the privilege to do that at this stage where I'm at with my career. Mm-hmm. I understand that some people don't. You have to create it for yourself. So in order for me to feel balanced, to feel like, this is my happy medium, I'm happy with it, I've chosen to only work half days, and when my child comes back from school, I'm there. Sometimes it does not happen, and I'm okay with that, you know? So you have to really be okay with the choices that you make that can, you know, make you feel like a better mom.
Yes. And Nicole, I guess that's where quality time does come in, right? Because
Yes.
that's what will help you determine if you feel satisfied with your choices. Because like Lindy said, you know, it's all decisions and choices. And yes, every single decision and choice has consequence. Like we cannot pretend like they don't have consequences, but it's living with whatever balance that you want to live with. So, you know, the gains versus the losses. So you said for you, it's very important to then the time that you do have to make the best out of it. What does that look like for you, or what are maybe tips that you can share with moms?
I think just to add to also what Lindy mentioned, one aspect that I have learned to do as a mother is to constantly forgive myself for days that I'm not available. And for me, every day is a new day. So I reflect back on the day before that I wish I was maybe more patient, or, oh, I should have done this with them instead of watching more TV with them. I give myself the chance to constantly just reflect back and tell myself, okay, next time I'm going to be more cautious or more mindful about things that I do with my kids or with myself sometimes. You know, being a co-parent, it's 50-50. So they are 1 week with me, 1 week with their father. This arrangement came, I think, we were one of the first ones in Aruba who had this arrangement in law, in the court.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I remember when we came up with this, they were, wow, first time a father's taking 50-50. And I really believed in that. I believe that a father's role cannot be
30% or...
no, just the weekends. And at the end of the day, you know, ending a relationship and moving forward, it doesn't mean that that person is a bad father. It's just a decision of a relationship ending. And many times what I notice in our culture is that we try to become rivals, or we are going to fight against each other when the kids are supposed to be the priority. And you see it a lot happening. The reality of the matter is we live in a country where, the population of divorce is high. So it's not something we should ignore. It's the reality. But what do we do with the children? Because you can have a divorce and the children will deal with it as healthy as possible, or are you going to fight against it and have a trauma there? And I think that is something that I think a lot of people who are going through this process, because I think someone who's listening today will have this reality like, okay, I'm going through a breakup. What is it going to be for my child? It's very important to think what's best for this child, not what I think it's best. So being a co-parent means 50-50. The week that they're not with me, I try to push as much work as I can. Try not to think a lot about them, because I become it's very bittersweet feeling not to have them for a whole week. But I've learned to balance it in that form, because, 2 of them are with their dad. The baby is with me because I have 3 kids. And therefore that somehow alleviates the work pressure in a sense, because when they're not with me, I try to push more time in working. But now having a newborn, having a 1-year-old, it changes entirely because you're starting from scratch. So I have 2 preteens in the house, and then now a newborn. So it's a whole different dynamic. It's basically riding the bike, but in a different form. You know how it rides, but this is a different human with different needs, with different a different personality than what you're used to. So you can have 5 kids, but every child is going to be different. But going back to how do you become more balanced as a mother? I think that for me is the key word. It's not, I think, trying to find a balance as career and motherhood, but it's also creating a balance for you, because we also forget ourselves as mothers. And we put a lot of pressure on being perfect for them, for ourselves. We live in a society where we have to be, as a woman, we have to be many different roles. We have to be highly intelligent or have a good career. We have to be appearing, we have to look good. That's in our culture. And additionally to that, we also have to be great mothers. And we have to do this flawlessly without having any show of being unhealthy or not perfect. And it's a big strain on us as mothers. And I think having those vulnerable conversations creates that balance for you as a woman, talking to other moms about it. So this is a great moment for us to really be open that it's hard, like you say. If I go with my kid and have a great time, my business can be affected. And the same goes for me as well in my career. You know, if my son calls me at 2:30 or 3 o'clock, Ma, the boss can come pick me up. I have a class. What do I do? Because I don't have anybody else to say, hey, let's go pick him up. The same goes with picking up music class, tennis classes, and I can go on and on. All of that, you know, how do you create a balance for yourself? And I think that's something we as moms have to do a little bit more of. Self-care has to have much more meaning than just going to do a mani-pedi, but it has to be how do I create balance within my own self? So yeah, that for me is very important.
Yes, and like you said, every child is different, and in a co-parenting situation, that routine is different, because in your case, for example, it's different one week to another. And like you said, your situation does provide you the ability to kind of schedule ahead. Okay, you know, this week is going to be slower for my business, but then this week is going to be, you know, go, go, go. So even if maybe you're not feeling it, you have to make it work. And I'm gonna look at Lindy, because I also know that you have this, where you will have days where Jane is with her dad, and then you have to maximize that time to do things that you either can't do when you have Jane, or, you know, that just are easier, or without that much of that, you know, guilt that you're taking away from her time. So maybe share a little bit about what that is like for you.
Well, we have, it's constantly changing, because with Jane, she needs a little bit more, some needs, because she goes to a linguistic twice a week, sometimes once a week. And now she just started ballet. I want her to start singing. So it's the time. She's really, she's 5. So now it's the time to hey, what do you like? You know, let's put you into things. So I think at this stage of my life, I'm really experimenting what works and not what works for me. So every stage is kind of different. But for example, when Jane is with her dad, I can either choose to stay finally a whole 8 hours at work, or I can do self-care. What is self-care for me? I don't know, go to the gym maybe, read a book, or do absolutely nothing. That's really nicest too, you know?
Yes.
So it's really what I feel in the mood lately. And yeah, if it's something that has a due date for work, obviously I will do it. So that's kind of how I have the, let's call it luxury, because it really is. I can do it. So I choose to either stay or do something for myself, or stay at work, because like Nicole said, you have to find a self-care moment for you as well, because when you become a mother, everything becomes, especially if you have a job or your own business, because that's kind of a child too. You have to continuously nourish it. You have to continuously be on top of it. So sometimes to be continuously on top of one thing, let alone two, is very, very hard on our minds. So maybe some downtime I do as well during those times. That helps.
And downtime, right? And that's something that we know. We know that humans need rest. We know that it's important to have good sleep and to just, have moments of absolute nothingness, but also having enough headspace to reflect and to genuinely, go about our thoughts and realigning, I guess, and readjusting schedules, etc. But it's hard, like you said, because you have children. In your case, Nicole, you have a baby, so downtime is even harder then. But it's also extra hard because even if you find that moment to have downtime, we as a society have created such a bad image on downtime, on doing nothing, that it's hard, because how do you even express oh, today I'm gonna do nothing, and maybe somebody texts you oh,
just
can you
own it? Because
that's good.
That's what
Yes.
I'm about to say next. Because I remember when I started 5 years ago with my business, and at that time, and still today, I think a little bit, or maybe I've changed my mind a little bit, but it was like a hustle society. Hey, you have to be on the go,
Yep.
work. That's so cool, boss lady here and there. And now I'm like, no, rest babe. I'm a rest babe. You know?
Yes.
Yeah, I think if you look at the reality of our situation in Aruba in general as well, many women do play very big roles in our society. You notice that women are also directors, they're head of departments. So there's an extra, pressure on that level to maintain, our prime minister. I mean, it's also female. So, there's a lot of pressure in the sense that in Aruban context, because we are so connected with the Western world because of tourism, there is this hustle mentality of the Western culture that influences our work. But then if you look at our day-to-day life, how we celebrate parties, how we celebrate life in general, it's very Caribbean. And sometimes these two things contradict each other very much.
Yep.
And I think that is sometimes the balance, as I said, in my work. It's a free day, but my dean has been emailing since 7 a.m. And I'm like, I love you right now, but no. So how do the reality is, our work life is so much different than our Caribbean life here. And on top of it, as women in career, there's also that pressure of we have to maintain that level of Europe, that level of America, that level of women being able to do it all. But if you look at the Caribbean context, in our history, in our heritage, women really went more to each other for support.
Yep.
And I think right now we think we can do everything on our own. But I think being vulnerable enough to admit that sometimes I cannot do something or I need help, that is what we have to do more as women, to find more support within each other and within our partners, within the fathers as well of our kids.
I really like how you said that we need help, because we as women, like you said, we think we can do it all, and most probably we can.
Yes.
But at what cost? So, but it is amazing, and I've learned this throughout my career. It is amazing how you can ask for help, and how many people, the entire community comes to help you, because it's in our nature to help each other.
Exactly.
We want to help each other. I want to give you my talents, I want to show you my talents. So I remember when I used to work for the Main Street, and I would just, it was so amazing. I would just post on Facebook, hey, I need something and something. Who can help? And I would receive tons of messages. And that's how I learned that if you, in our society, even though sometimes we are so afraid to ask for help, and this comes for your career, your parenthood, anything that you do, if you ask for help, you will get it. So just ask for it. Even when you're when you're not a mom yet, but in the future, when you become a mom, don't close yourself up and think, oh, it's my responsibility. Yes, it is your responsibility, but you can also ask for help.
Yes.
You'll get it.
And that's what Nicole said, right? Where our cultures contradict. And I love how you made that switch from like the, boss babe to the rest babe, because it's a, I guess, as women collectively around the world, they kind of realize that, hold on, this is coming at a very high cost. And for what? Because, if I have a way of not having to work myself to the point of a burnout and still be able to, provide and have a happy life, why wouldn't I want to do that? Because of that pressure, which contradicted a lot of our culture. So you not only had super high pressure on this side for, becoming this hustle boss lady persona, but also the pressure of being nourishing, of being inviting, of being a good host, and these two things kind of, sometimes, and they don't have to always, because you can be both, but it's redefining what those two things mean. So like Lindy said, you're still a boss, babe, if you go to work, till 1 o'clock, from 8 or whatever time you start till 1, you are that. But then after that, you switch into like rest babe, and then the other work starts. So it's not like rest babe means that you're gonna lay down, by a poolside and just do nothing. And of course, by all means, do when you can. But I will. But that's also the idea that being somebody who's nourishing and inviting does not contradict being a hardworking person, being a dedicated person, and we kind of have to give people credit where credit is due, and also not put as much pressure onto moms or parents, and that's why I thought these parenting series were really important, because we have spoken to different parents and things that are important to parenthood, but what I really want to focus on is for us to think twice about how we react to parents, for whatever choices they make for their families. So, we still hear questions, and it's doomed if you do, doomed if you don't. It's a new mom. Oh, so you're not going to work anymore, or you're not going to work for full time? You're going to give up your career? Or the other side is like, you're going to continue working on that super demanding job with a baby. So, no matter what, there's always going to be criticism. And of course, what I'm going to ask of you listeners is to please try not to be those people that criticize whatever choice they make, but also understanding that, like Nicole said, even as a, blended mom of 5, like every single child there has a different set of needs. So, maybe with the first kid, you said, yeah, I'm going to hustle. And then with the second one, you're like, no. And then with the third one, you're like, okay, now I'm good to go for hustle again. So it's choices that people make that work best for their situation. And we kind of have to let go a little bit from whatever expectations we have on our, on what women should look like, exactly. What moms nowadays, should look like. Mm-hmm. And also another thing that I think is kind of sad, and I'm going to ask you both as career moms, is the judgment that we also put on mothers who decide to not be career moms, right? The moms that decide to be full-time homemakers. What are things that you would want to say to fellow career moms, in regards to being more gentle towards themselves? Yes. and also not judging or not looking down on moms who do not decide to be career moms.
Yeah, well, one thing I think is important to talk about in regards to this aspect. We talked the part of community. Mm-hmm. We are also a culture that very much is easily, because we want to protect ourselves and our choices, we easily criticize when something is different than our own. And that's just a protective mechanism. You have mothers who are going to decide, I'm going to breastfeed for 5 days and it's done. I don't want to do this anymore. And you have moms who decide before even baby's born, I'm not going to even breastfeed. Mm-hmm. And quickly our brains go, whoa, this is strange. Or, oh, she's still breastfeeding after a year old. That's crazy. Mm-hmm. What is important to realize, as you mentioned, is important to find out for yourself as a mother, what can you handle? I always tell myself, as a mother, I want to be a mother who did not, I want to give them what I didn't have. It doesn't have to be material, mm-hmm. but it has to be in what kind of love am I going to give them? How do I want to see discipline? How do I want them to become who they authentically are? And we came in a culture where we didn't have the space to really be ourselves, because we were raised to think, hey, you have to, in my case, career was very important, or you have to have an education, you have to do the job that is respected. And, mm-hmm. You hear it many times, and I'm sure you guys maybe as children as well, be a teacher, be a doctor, be a nurse, those nurturing, caring professions, which I love social work and I will never regret doing it. But for my own children, what do I see in them that will become a better version of themselves, not what I think is best for them? And sometimes that's challenging. It's challenging as a mother to let them be who they are. But, in my case, I made a decision early on with the first two that they were going to be Montessori kids. I really believed in the philosophy that everybody has their own road to drive, to run or to walk, and they have the ability to figure out for themselves who they are. So if they had the opportunity, my eldest now, he's in Colegio San Nicolás, but he had the opportunity to really develop who he was and found out, oh, I'm really good at math, I'm really good at science. And of course, the languages are not his favorite. And now at Colegio, it's challenging because you came from a world that was very open to looking at your gifts. to a system of education where you have to do
Very
it like
rigid.
this. Very rigid, very competitive, a lot of bullying, which I have a lot of issues with. So for me, it was accepting my kids for who they are and letting them be, which is different than me, or maybe even more like me, as I was a rebel myself as a teenager. So I'm like, I know what I can expect because I was not the saint. But also being very careful how I talk around them and how I talk about others. You might have conflict with people. You might not like some. They listen and they hear everything. And so it's so important to be very reflective. And you know what? You teach yourself as well to be very compassionate. Because when you have them around you, and, I have seen parents say, oh, wake mo hey, or what are you teaching them? You can say, oh, I see her, or I see this person doing this. I would not do it this way, but I respect her as a woman. That's feminism. Mm-hmm. That's what I teach my children also, to let's accept people for who they are. Let's not judge. And, you live in a culture that's very macho, And one of the shows that's my, secretly I like doing it on my own is watching Queer Eye. And so my son sometimes comes and watches because, I love Camaro is a social worker. I love him.
Yes.
And so I like to see how he guides people. And then my son's like, but why is Jonathan doing his hands like this? And I was like, because he's allowed to. Because we're in a culture where it's so macho. A man has to be a man. And of course, he sees it. I cannot change that. Mm-hmm. But I can teach him that a man is many different things. And it doesn't make you less of a man or more than a man. And the same for a woman. My daughter never wore earrings, never liked wearing earrings. Now she likes it. But as a kid, they were always asking me, why is your daughter wearing earrings? Why does she only wear shorts? And I had to say, she's allowed to be who she is. Mm-hmm. But it really is, for me, doing that as a mother made me also be more proud of my authenticity. And really owning myself of who I am. Because I cannot do it and say it to them, practice what you preach. I cannot do it without doing it for myself.
Exactly.
So for me, that is very important as moms to really, own who you are, but also be very reflective and forgive yourself. Very important.
And sometimes that takes a little bit more time, right? I mean, it's hard to even take the time to become truly self-aware is something. And then, like you said, you maybe reach that. And then you have a kid, which you have absolutely no control of. I mean, parents think they do, but you don't. And then being confronted with whatever that may look like, and then which may not be aligned with your expectations that, you either had that you created for yourself or that were created for you through society. And then I know we talk about this, sometimes you share stories and you ask us like, did I overreact on this? Like, do you think this, this thing this teacher said, like, I feel like this was like really off, like, how would you have reacted? Or and I love that you have these moments because it's not just reflection with yourself, but also realizing that, hey, I kind of need, backup support, help me out, figure the situation out. So I love seeing how you go through this process with Jane, but also being, like Jane is gonna go out with a sword today, and so be it.
Oh yeah, that one time.
Yeah.
Like Nicole said, that you gotta let the kids become who they are with some boundaries. I mean,
of course,
you have to have boundaries. But one thing, it's also important that the kids become who you are. As a mom or a dad, you are the person they love the most in this world. They look up to you. They will. Have you seen, like, oh my God, I am like, or you catch yourself thinking, I'm talking like my mom here. Like, hey, I'm becoming my mom when you're older. It will happen to them as well. So be the best parent that you can be in your own way, the way that's best for you. And the children will follow, but let them also be themselves. For example, what you're saying that Jane did not really go with a sword, everyone out,
It's a toy. It's a toy.
It was a toy, but she wanted to dress up. We went to like a very known place here to look furniture in Aruba, and she wanted to dress up like
Was it Brave?
I think no, it wasn't Brave. It was Anna's cape. But she wanted to. She had a toy sword, so she wanted to like become a warrior or something like that. And she was playing with the sword in the place, and it was such a beautiful thing to, I mean, other parents, I don't know, maybe like, oh, don't do that in public only. But just be free, you know? You're only a child for a few years, and then reality hits you. And
Yeah, adulting sucks, but yeah.
If you let it. We're all allowed to be our inner child once in a while.
Yes, for sure. But indeed, and I think that again, we do not want to have this conversation today to make any moms out there feel like they should be, hustling and boss babes and, killing it in career or whatever. Please, by all means, do if you want to. But also know that you can be all those things and also have time off and also figure out what works for you. Because, again, I think what Nicole and Lindy have shared today is that you have to do what works for you and what makes you happy. And in turn, of course, that will have a positive effect on your children. So, yeah. So, Lindy, for parents who are co-parenting, especially with small children with needs, what are things that you would want them to know that, will maybe make them feel a little bit better?
Well, you have to decide from the start, or maybe if it's not the start from you, decide from now that you're only going to base your decisions from either the mom side and the dad side, that you're going to do everything in your power for the child. That's in their best interest. So, like, for example, if you and the dad does not agree on something, do it privately and then come back to the child. And ask yourselves before you come back, or whatever the situation may be, is this going to affect the child positively or negatively? If it's something that it's negative, turn it around. How can we make it in a positive way? So that's my advice for co-parenting. And like I said, from the start, saying, okay, great, it did not work out, let's move on, but we have a child together, let's make the best of it. So she or he does not feel like it's out of the ordinary to have separated parents that, let's make it normal. Let's normalize being co-parents, because it's the reality of our lives in this day and age. That we are co-parents. Some people stay together, some people don't. And that we all work. I mean, there's mom who chooses not to work, and that's great for you. Sometimes I wish I was kind of a stay-at-home mom. Sometimes I don't. So it's up to
everyone.
Yeah, it's up to each parent. Sometimes I meet dads who's like, hey, no, I'm like the full-time mom here, and it's great. We have to accept that as a society as well. Sometimes the mothers is not even in the child's lives. So for every person, it's different, and we gotta accept that for each person. Don't go judge people around, and don't go judge yourself either. Do the best that you can.
And whatever that looks like for you. Nicole, is there anything that you can think of that you would want to share with parents? You have a very nice co-parenting situation. Like you said, it did take adjustment, of course, because it is different. But any tips that you might want to give parents who are figuring that out, also from a social work perspective, something that you would want to empower parents with to have this process go maybe a little smoother?
I think, first of all, we have to realize, as I'm basically reading right now a book of Brene Brown called The Atlas of the Heart.
Yes, me too.
You're okay.
Yes.
And she talks about emotions, and we are emotionally driven humans, whether we want to accept it or not. And many times our first reactions are the ones that really are driven by how we feel. So it's very important as parents who are going through either divorce or separation to not be the first reaction. Take time to reflect back before you react. That's my first tip in the sense when you make decisions. I wish that parents can be aware that it's not about competition. Think about what you're able to do as a parent. Some
Be
fathers
honest.
might, yes, some fathers might say, oh, I want 50-50, but really, are you ready for that already? Or do you need support? We have enough social work agencies, such as Tienda de Educación, Fundación Panos Muchanang, that have people working, able to guide you and be your mediator in helping you find ways to become a more structured parent. So you're not alone if you feel like you are as a man, or as a woman, you're not alone. There are people out there who can guide you. If you feel that coming to a resolution is difficult, I always advise to find someone to be in the middle and help you decide or write things down. I think it's important to write things down. Don't go into he said, she said. Don't go into the WhatsApp print screening. Be, have a clear adult conversation with someone in the middle like we have right now, where someone can write these things down and be able to make it clear what is whose responsibility. And it's going to be uncomfortable. But as parents, whatever happened to your relationship is your past. But what happens to the children is now. And research has proven divorce is something we cannot ignore. Separation is something we can't ignore. But what is important is how we go about it. And how we go about it is showing true respect for each parent. If you disagree or not, respecting each other and showing the children you respect each other. That's very important. Being able to talk to each other face to face without having rivalry or bad words being said. That will tell your kids, wow, my parents they love me this much to be able to talk to each other in a very responsible way. And so I think for you who are going through this struggle, you can always contact, those social work agencies that can give you tips and ideas. You can also contact me because I do help some parents go through this mediation. And I'm actually collaborating with a law firm right now, and being the mediator for divorce cases as well. So this is something new happening in social work here, but it's not new in the Netherlands, for example. It's happening everywhere else. So you can always think about that as well. And forgive yourself. Forgive yourself that the relationship you wished you had didn't work out. Forgive your partner, your ex-partner, that it didn't work out, because I think that if you don't, your kids are going to suffer from it. And you have to be able to let them see that people do move on and you can. So it's all about the children. It really is.
Thank you for that. Lindy, is there anything else that you would want to share, either on co-parenting, but for, mompreneurs out there? Like you said, you're a serial mompreneur. You have different businesses besides Lindy Boutique. What are any tips or points that you want to give out to parents and especially moms who are going through this and also battling on, how do I feel okay with my choices?
Well, how do you feel okay with your choices? It's very easy. You have to just feel okay. If you feel okay, then you are in the right path. But again, you have to do things that make you happy, because that will in turn make your children happy, and not only your children, but everyone around you. I know in my case, and I believe in yours as well, Nicole, it turned out to be till the point of burnout to actually come to a reality that, hey, this lifestyle is not for me. And unfortunately, that's the way it is. It has to come to a point that you want to change, right? And that's why I stopped with the hustle mentality. Although it brought me so many great opportunities for the 5 years. But who said that was the only way to bring opportunities? So in my mind, being the hustle mentality, being a boss lady, and how people perceive me as a boss lady, because I know that that's how they perceive me now. It brought so many great things for my kids, for my work, but that's not the only way. It can also be, I'm still a boss lady now.
Yes.
I'm more relaxed. I mean, if you're going to tell me, hey, come meet me and do this podcast at 8 a.m., I can choose, hey, no, I'm going to sleep, But I can just, hey, I want to do it because I'm here right now because I wanted to do it. For example, if I have a friend request to go to a dinner, I can decline and say, no, I'm going to spend time with my kids. Or I spent too much time with you today, I'm going out with my friends. Everything's okay. Just make sure that you are in a great state of mind. Also, make sure that your child is taken care of and in a great state of mind.
Thank you for that. Again, ladies, thank you for being able to have this vulnerable conversation, showing parents out there that it's okay to have these vulnerable conversations. I think that we can all agree that Nicole and Lindy obviously, are two different people and two different businesses. But what is common here is that they are able to genuinely listen to themselves first in order to create a life that they feel comfortable with for themselves and of course for their families. So again, parents, especially career moms who are out there, do what you gotta do what you love, but don't let others dictate what success means for you. Don't let others dictate what is acceptable or unacceptable. And just be in tune with yourself, reach out to the people around you, like Lindy said. I have also learned that we're often afraid to ask for help, but then when we ask for help, we get overwhelming responses, positive responses. So make use of that. Reach out. The chances are that you will be helped out, and respect one another, right? Don't criticize, don't judge, let people be whatever they want to be. And just because somebody did something this time and then tomorrow they decide to do something else doesn't mean that they failed or, they neglected this person. They're just growing and evolving because we're growing and evolving people. So like Lindy said, for 5 years, she had this perception of like this intense boss lady. Now she's more relaxed. Doesn't mean she's not a boss lady or creating.
And doesn't mean that I'm relaxed all the time.
We can all attest to that.
But maybe I was going like 100 miles per hour and I'm going 90.
Yes.
That to me means a little bit more relaxed.
Yes.
Or maybe some days I'm going 20.
Exactly.
And some days it can be just taking 5 minutes of being outside and just having a small meditation or a small yoga session. That's what I do. Keep my sanity with, 4 kids in the house. And doing those little small acts of kindness for yourself.
Yes.
About meditation, if we still have time.
Yes, we do. Go ahead.
Tell something that recently happened to me. So we went on this riff, right?
Uh-huh.
And we go there almost every week for, I don't know, for 6 months now. And there's a little place that a bunch of stones that you can go and see the other side of the sea where it, crashes. And it looks so peaceful and beautiful, but I've never been. And it's like walking in the water, like half a minute. But I've never been because I'm afraid to leave my child, like, there. And she starts screaming my name, mommy, And then one day I was like, last week I was like, no, you know what? You stay here with your stepdad. Just stay. I'm going there just to see it. I mean, 6 months has passed. I still haven't seen it,
I want to see it.
And I went there. I'm like, wow, you can hear the wave crashing. It's so beautiful. And my immediate thought, like, okay, I'm here. I got to go back to my child. Immediately I think that. And I was like, why? Let me sit here 5 minutes. And and there's a ballad in my head, like, oh my God, 5 minutes? You want to stay 5 minutes by yourself here? You have to go back to your child. It's things like mom constantly said.
Yes.
And I was like, Lindy, it's 5 minutes. Come on, just sinta and to enjoy it. So that for 5 minutes to meditate, I don't know even how to meditate, but for me, I meditated there, It was such a great experience that we forget that we are allowed to do that as moms because we are constantly preoccupied with our child.
Yes.
It was 5 simple minutes, and it was amazing.
Thank you for that anecdote. I mean, but that's allowed. Moms, career moms, especially you career moms who feel like you are juggling a gazillion things at time. I often hear that some moms, even when they come from work, they had a long, stressful day at work, sit in your car for 5 minutes, right?
That's what I do. I put my audiobook on. I'm like, okay, I'll go in like a few. Just like sometimes in front of the crash, I'll be like, okay, I'm here, but let me just finish listening to this chapter and then I go in. And just having that moment from, a breathing moment.
Yes.
I think it's so important just to have that moment of mindfulness.
And don't feel bad about it. Don't feel bad about it. If another mom arrives and they're like looking at you in the car,
that
just
happens
be like,
normally with me. Yes.
Yeah, I can imagine. I can imagine
like,
somebody coming
here.
Yeah,
Yes.
like, is she okay? But yes, just what I want you to get out of this episode, of course, if you're a parent, that hopefully you heard something that made you feel better about your choices, or that will help you figure out those choices. But if you're a listener and you're not a career mom or a parent even, but you're just listening because you're curious on these topics, I do encourage you to, again, be a more considerate person, more patient person towards others. I am not a parent, but I am so happy to have parent friends around me, like Lindy, but other parent friends where I can look at so many different perspectives, and be able to see what a difference it makes when they get to be their authentic selves and just be who they are, and how that really translates into a happier child. So thank you for obviously providing me that opportunity to be that part of your life, have that opportunity to look into your life like that. But a lot of non-parents may not have this. I hope that today gave you a little bit of that, which hopefully gives you a better understanding. If you're a colleague and there is a career mom at your work, and she says, like Nicole said, my kid just called me and you are in a pickle where, you kind of have to leave to go pick them up because there's no other way around. I have heard snarky comments, especially from non-parents. Be patient. This is their life, and you made a decision not to be a parent or not to be a parent yet. That's your choice. You should be completely happy with that, but then also understand that other people's choices should not affect you. So be a little bit kinder to yourself and to others, just be okay with whatever choices you make in life regarding parenting and everything else, people. So be nice. I hope you learned something today that will make you a kinder person. Okay, starting today. Please. Ladies, anything else you want to leave us with? Otherwise, we are going to close this episode. Are you happy with this conversation, Nicole? Did you like it?
This is the beginning of many conversations that we as women should have with each other.
For sure.
And hopefully it opens the doors for men to also have these types of conversations.
Yes.
And I hope that men can come together and have talks about fatherhood and about being a man in this really hard world we're living in. We need them as well to be part of our team. So
for sure.
Important.
So next month is June. I have been focusing in May a lot on moms because this was May. But indeed, these are conversations that I do want to have a little bit more of. As we enter into June, I do want to focus on that's perspectives. And like you said, what it means to be a man in this world, what it means to be a vulnerable man, really, in a very, macho culture, and what that looks like. So definitely. Lindy, anything else that you would want to leave us with?
Well, I just want to thank you for this opportunity to have us here. And also, like Nicole said, it's the beginning of a very much conversation that we as women should have, or maybe we're already having it. But we should normalize it, either for the moms and the dads. That's also, I have nothing bad to say about dads. Dads are amazing. Thank you for always being there. I think as human beings, we try to find a balance with one another. And I think that's important. So again, thank you for this opportunity, and I hope to see you again in such a setting next time.
Yes, thank you for accepting. Again, thank you to my awesome sponsors for making these conversations possible. I appreciate you very much for, supporting these type of... Yes, thank you, Lindy, so much for supporting these type of topics. No, but seriously, it's nice to have you here too, because you have been part of Sincerely Carolina since literally day one. So thank you for that, and not also not just being in the back part, but also you have been on my podcast a couple of times. So also being available for having these conversations, being vulnerable, and also so that people can get to know who is Lindy and behind Lindy Boutique. So thank you for that. I really, really appreciate it.
Anytime.
Thank you to my other sponsors who have also made this episode and episodes alike possible, to The Shelf, to Proframe, CeraVe, and to Crest. Thank you. I really appreciate it. I will see you all again next week. Please, as we, move away from May and into June, I will be having some conversations. I will still continue the parenting series for about 2-3 more episodes, and focusing a little bit on dads. So let me know if you have something that you would really want us to talk about, and we will talk about that. But also starting to prepare for Pride Month, I will also be having some episodes on that. So do let me know if you want to know something specifically on that. We have had some conversations on, the LGBTQIA community, on transgender rights. So do let me know if there is something that you would want me to discuss specifically. And if not, I'll just get creative. Don't worry, I can figure this out. Thank you so much. I will see you again next week. I hope that you become better people after this episode, because you learned something, and knowledge is power only if you make use of that knowledge, okay? Bye. Have a nice week. See you again. Bye.
Bye.
Sincerely Carolina is powered by Lindy Boutique, Proframe, The Shelf, CeraVe, and Crest.